It's been the Monday from hell. I wanted to make this quick video explaining how I was able to replenish my breast milk stash, freezer stash. If you do follow me on Instagram, I made a post not so long ago about how this last month we went through a complete horrific low supply battle due to Scarlett's tongue tie issue, which was causing her not to latch on as long, which in turn was causing the low supply. 2 weeks ago today, we had her tongue tie fixed, and she has really had no issues since. The first couple of nights she was super fussy, and we ended up supplementing with a bottle. But since Thursday of that week, everything, knock on wood, we're knocking, has been fine. At one point I decided to switch completely to bottles while I pumped until we got the issue resolved, because it got to the point where she was no longer latching. And instead of continuing to try to get her to latch and get her more frustrated, I decided to switch to bottles until we were able to get the tongue tie fixed. During my low supply bout, we did have to supplement with my frozen stash, which was mainly used to when she goes to mother-in-law while I'm work. So she was still going over there during my work hours, but then we were also supplementing here at home, just because it was taking a few pumping sessions before I had a full feeding, or enough for a full feeding. It was super stressful. Thankfully I was able to get my supply up. Thankfully we're going strong again, and by the time her tongue tie was done 2 weeks ago, I had nothing in my freezer. I was literally pumping for that day. Like, we were pumping for survival at this point. I did buy formula just in case it got to the point where I just didn't have enough to feed her. Thankfully, it's still unopened and untouched on top of my fridge. And I guess at this point we'll just keep it. And if at the end of the year or at her year we don't need it, then we'll just maybe donate it. So how I replenished my frozen stash. So we ended up with nothing. I literally took the last 2 bags that I had that Thursday before to my mother-in-law so she could have it for Monday, because Fridays she's here because my husband's off, and so she's here. By the time they had the tongue tied done, I had enough for 3 feedings in the fridge. So that automatically put me ahead of the game at 18 ounces back in the freezer, and I had 6 ounces in my mother-in-law's as an emergency in her freezer, plus the 2 bags that she took from me, the last 2 bags from my freezer. So we had that. So she was working off of that, and so basically I pump more times than I need to, but it has allowed me to rebuild my stash. I currently have 42 ounces in the freezer. I would have had 52 ounces this past weekend, but she was here Friday. I do try to feed her while I'm here, but during my lunch hours she wasn't hungry. So in the afternoon, after I went back to work, she got hungry, so my husband had to feed her from the fresh milk. And then we had a complete meltdown on Saturday night. I found a almost bulging tooth in her gum. So we think that's may have caused it. So we ended up giving her another 5 ounces. So I'm trying to do the 6 ounces per bag, which is the maximum you could fill up. So right now I'm not doing middle of the night pumping like I was before when I was exclusively pumping, because I need my rest. But my schedule is 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, and then a nighttime pump. Basically, as soon as she goes to bed for the night, I do a pumping session there. And so I do 6 a night. 8 o'clock is after her feeding, before I drop her off at my mother-in-law's, and then the rest are when I'm at work, and then the last one. So I essentially prepare the bottles. I want to make sure I'm ahead of the game. So I want to make sure Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday I have, even though right now she's doing about 5 ounces of feeding and she does 2 feedings at my mother-in-law's, I want to make sure she has more than enough. So even though 5 is good for her, I send her with 6 ounces per feeding, just in case. I want to make sure I would rather have her have more and not need it than need it and not have it. So right now I prep for 12 ounces a day to send to my mother-in-law's. Anything that is, and I'm filling up like my little storage bottle throughout the day. So whatever I have at 12, I put to the side. So today I already have 12. For tomorrow, I put that to a side, and I'm already ahead of the game right now with 3 ounces. So tonight and then tomorrow, I'll work on completing the 12 ounces for the following day, and then I kind of continue on and build off of that. Come Thursday, whatever, like Thursday at the end of the day, whatever is left over, hopefully it's 6 ounces, then I will put in the freezer. And then Friday, she's here. My goal is to nurse her while she's here and while I'm at work. During my lunch hour, before I go into work at 8, my lunch hour at 12, and then when I clock out at 4:30. That's the goal. It happened last week. It didn't happen this week. And then pump during the 10 and the 4 o'clock. The 10 and 2 o'clock, I'm sorry. 10 and 2. And then a late night pumping session. So then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I am working on my 12 ounces for Monday. Once I hit my 12 ounces for Monday, if I have 6 at that point of oversupply, I'll go ahead and add it to the freezer. If not, then I'll just build on for Tuesday. This has only been implemented for 2 weeks, since she's only had the tongue tie for 2 weeks. But right now I have 42 ounces in my freezer, plus I have tomorrow's fresh milk already in the fridge, plus 3 ounces ahead of the game. I tried a whole bunch of different supplements to help me with my supply. The one that I felt did work was ground flaxseed. And as soon as someone recommended ground flaxseed, I was putting it in everything. In my water, like every water bottle I had a ground flaxseed. Oatmeal, ground flaxseed, cereal, flaxseed, yogurt, salad, everything. I did see a little bit of a boost. The first couple pumping sessions, I was probably about at 18 ounces for the 24 hours, or for the day. Because I would start like at 4 and then kind of do like 11 o'clock p.m. I did that for a couple of days, and then I saw a boost from 20 to 23 to 24 ounces. I saw another boost of 27 ounces using Milky Mama's emergency brownies. I did have an issue with that. with the brownies, even though they did work. But that's another video for another time. But ground flaxseed. So hopefully this OCD way of processing my supplies will help me replenish, because at one point I had 400 ounces in my freezer. But I'm glad we're all back to normal and she is doing fine. So thanks for watching. Bye.